Round 11 of the 2021 season sees Formula 1 return home to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, home race for many of the teams, including the likes of legendary names such as Williams and McLaren, as well as many of the home drivers such as Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, and defending world champion Josh Tyrrell. Toyota though came to this race stumped. They thought they'd fix their reliability issues last time out with a dominant win from Nobuharu Matsushita, but on the other side of the garage was Lewis Hamilton, who once again suffered a catastrophic engine failure with the entire power unit imploding in on itself, leaving the team stumped for answers. Alfa Romeo though have managed to fast track some chassis work upgrades. The Italian Alfa is still suffering, as it will be for the remainder of the season, with the Ferrari engine nerf from the Austrian Grand Prix, and we're looking to maximise pace through the corners, taking more of a Red Bull approach to their car design. Williams though, despite not having a car to compete at the front of Formula 1 for this season, still had their fair share of home support, and Nico Hülkenberg and Nicholas Latifi very keen to score points in the home race for the team. Hey guys, Renault here, welcome back to Formula 1, and we're here for the British Grand Prix, my home race for Williams there, with Hülkenberg starting inside of the points places, and if he can stay there towards the end is when Williams tend to go forwards in races, so it's looking good that Williams might score some points on home soil. Again, a good look there at the front of the grid with the safety car ready to lead away on the formation line very soon, and talking moving forward, that is something that Esteban Ocon's going to have to do. The Frenchman, P11, knocked out in Q2 and in one of the best cars on the grid, and I expect to see him moving forward throughout the race. As we come now then onto the formation lap for the start of the British Grand Prix, and it's an Alfa Romeo front row lockout. The chassis upgrade is working well, with Josh Tyrrell on pole position and teammate Kevin Magnussen completing the front row. Fernando Alonso starts P3 as the lead Renault, ahead of one of the other home favourites, Lewis Hamilton, P4 lead Toyota. Pierre Gasly starts lead of the Red Bull family in the AlphaTauri from 5th, ahead of Max Verstappen. And looking out row 4, it's the two McLarens of Lando Norris, ahead of 2019 world champion Mick Schumacher. Sergio Sette Camara starts from P9 ahead of the other Red Bull car, of Alex Albon running off the top 10. As we saw, row 6 of the grid is completed by Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg in 11th and 12th. The lead Mercedes of Daniel Kvyat starts from just outside the points places in 13th. Matsushita couldn't get it together in Q2, knocked out in P14, and Sergio Perez managed to get his Aston Martin through into Q2 for the home crowd. Nicholas Latifi starts P16 alongside fellow countryman Lance Stroll, and George Russell couldn't get it together in Q1 and lining up 18th and second to the Mercedes. Lining up on the back row of the grid, as has become a little bit of a familiar sight this season so far, the two Ferraris, Charles Leclerc P19 and Rio Haryanto in P20, and both Ferraris over 2 seconds off the eventual pole time that was set in Q3 by the Alfa Romeo pairing. Let's come back right now to the start of the grid. It's going to be a short run down into Tower 1, so good start here. It will be crucial, but if you get a slightly bad start, it's not going to be as bad as a circuit, say Mexico, where there's an entire kilometre to lose that momentum all the way down the straight. Lining up here now on the grid, and we come now to the 5 red lights for the start of the British Grand Prix. Lights out on the way of the go, and it's a pretty good start there from both the Alfa Romeos there. On the front row, you've got a bit of movement further back. One of the Williams there, Nicholas Latifi, looking to try and find some space. So they're going to run out through turn 1. The Alfa Romeos is clear still. It's still Josh Tyrrell in the lead. We lead the way. Ahead then, other teammate Kevin Magnussen is still also holding on to P3, and Lewis Hamilton is still there in P4. Then we've got behind there, you've got Verstappen's managed to make a move though on Pierre Gasly. I'm sure Gasly didn't fight too hard for that one, being in the sister team to Red Bull. Not really too much there you can do to try and fight that one. Now there can be no DRS here for the next few laps, but now we're going to be out of the station. Now we're going to go. Kevin Magnussen now going aggressive, going for a move to the inside line. And then we go teammate space, giving the respect. I mean, you can squeeze into the curb, forcing to back out that move. Yet he's no slightly at the inside line. There's no way there realistically that the Dane could have made a move on ourselves, but we still lead the way. Still from Kevin Magnussen in P2. And he's still got Alonso in 3rd and Hamilton in P4, but if we keep battling, that's going to allow the former world champions and Max Verstappen is still looking for his first world championship in Formula 1. We know the pace that the Dutchman possesses just hasn't quite had the machinery so far in his career to make a real championship bid. Now the 3 Magnussen Beckett for the first time now. We're running out a little bit wide because this car is still heavy with fuel, and despite the new chassis upgrades that we've brought, have been brought by FMA for this race, we're still having to run a little bit skimpy on downforce to try and maximise the straight line speed where we can due to that recent Ferrari engine nerf. And we're coming through now into the fast lap, still running out very wide through there, not quite finding the pace that we need, but finding the downforce that we need really. They come now there into the final few corners. We managed to pull away though from my teammate Kevin Magnussen, so maybe K-Mag's already starting to settle in there to the rear gunner role, maybe just getting affected there by the dirty air. And now we lead the way at the end of lap 1. And we still got came out there in P2. But Alonso, we know the pace that the 3-time world champion possesses in that Renault car, back in Renault now. Probably the most iconic driver pairing, maybe of recent times. Of course, you've got Schumacher with Ferrari. But of the drivers still on the grid, then Alonso and Renault, it doesn't make sense. It just feels right. And we've still got Pierre Gasly though, holding down a very, very good P6 so far in the AlphaTauri. Although he's got the two McLarens now breathing down his neck. With Norris there in his home event, in one of the home team cars as well as McLaren. They're going to have the full support here of the home crowd. And in the recent poll, Norris is the most popular driver on the grid, so he's definitely going to do well here for the home crowd and all those not at the circuit as well watching on TV. Now then, moving further on, looking here, our teammate Kevin Magnussen is now really coming under pressure then from Fernando Alonso. And Alonso there with the DRS, so at least on lap 3, Alonso's going to pull to the inside line now of Kevin Magnussen on the run down now into this next right-hander. He makes it stick easily before the corner, so some great straight line speed in that Renault. The Renault car really has come on leaps and bounds in recent years, mainly with the engine of work as well, and with the new concept they've gone for this year, with the thinner front nose, following what Mercedes and AlphaTauri have been doing in the past. It seems they've been better able to understand the airflow over the front of the car, and it's working well for Alonso. Maybe not so for Ocon. He's still got a little bit of work to do to try and get up to speed really in that Renault car. Now then, just behind the battle here for the podium, you've got Max Verstappen, the ever consistent in qualifying, just drags so much pace out of that car. Pace that car really doesn't have, despite the best working intentions of Adrian Newey. And then from one Honda powered car to the other, you've got the AlphaTauri there. Still Gasly, still just about managing to hold on for Lando Norris, but I don't think much longer. Norris now going to pull to the inside line of the Frenchman. And now coming up now into the second section of lap, he makes the move sticking, but Gasly is going to try and stick it around the outside line, the AlphaTauri. Yeah, it shows very good glimpses of pace. It is more low drag though, so through the corners should be his weakness compared to the McLaren. But that McLaren car has not been updated since the start of the season, whereas the AlphaTauri would have been, so it might be a little bit more even between these cars than what you would think. And Norris though makes the move sticking there. You've got Schumacher now looking to make a move on Pierre Gasly, coming up the inside line now. Down the old style finish rate into the old turn 1. He makes a move stick there on the Frenchman, so Gasly in the space of one sector has lost 2 places to both of the orange cars. But I don't think Schumacher's going to be done quite yet though, making their way through Max and Beckett. Is the McLaren driver, is the 2019 World Champion close enough to make a move on the home favourite Lando Norris? He's going to have DRS there on the back of his teammate and of course being the leader of the train, obviously not going to have that this time. But now Schumacher pulls the inside line of Lando Norris. It's going to be side by side with the McLaren, I'm sure. It's going to be things that are getting a little bit over there on the pit wall for Andrea Seidel and the whole McLaren team. But Norris is just going to put himself back in front and squeeze Schumacher into the cab, giving him just enough space. But no more, but no, Schumacher though still with the inside line for these next 2 final corners. But Norris with the outside line, with momentum, able to sweep it through. Still keeping it side by side. You've got Pierre Gasly there, you make it 3-way possibly into turn 1. He's thinking about it, but that's just sticking behind. And he's still McLaren goes side by side and he gets very aggressive there, makes Schumacher forces Lando Norris out. I don't quite think there's any contact there, maybe a little bit of wheel bagging, but Schumacher is not messing about. He's got a car to compete at the front and he's going to make his intentions known. He gets up now then into P5, and if these two can stop battling, then maybe they might be able to catch up to Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso, and then ourselves up in front. And Norris though with the DRS, can he try and come back at Schumacher? It doesn't quite look like it at the moment. It seems at least on the heavy fuel the Schumacher has the better pace. Now looking at the Mercedes here, Daniel Kvyat leading the second group of cars really. You've got Alex Albon there, who's dropped back from the start, so the tyre driver not quite having the pace in his home race as well. And not behind him there, you've got Matsushita, who really hasn't made as much progress from the start as really what he suggests. He took a dominant victory back at Austria, was out in Q2, starting in P14, and hasn't really made any progress from there whatsoever. So maybe it's Matsushita's turn to have the issues this weekend. That Toyota just can't seem to get rid of it. You can switch aggressively to the inside line of Alex Albon, making stick on the inside line of the Red Bull, but the Red Bull's so good through the corners. Can Albon try and fight back into the final corner? Not quite. Matsushita there makes the move stick. I still think though he's outside of the points places. It means behind one of the Mercedes, and Mercedes really haven't been anywhere in the season. They've had a few glimpses of pace, but nothing really of showing consistent points place finishes. And our further one looks like Massachusetts finally woke up in his Grand Prix, so maybe whatever issues he was experiencing have now cleared. And I've got one black car now catching up to the other. Got Kvyat there still trying to hold on from Matsushita, but the Toyota car, even when it's not really working too well, it's still really a better car than that Mercedes. Now then with the DRS, going to get to the outside, gets a little bit of a wiggle, so almost lost it there under DRS with Matsushita pushing like a stab rat now. He makes a move around the outside line, a beautiful move there from Matsushita. Makes a mistake there Actually, the car going. Sorry, Matthew just plows into the back of him. What's happened there? The car stops in the middle of the road. Matthew, the camera cuts immediately. So I guess there's something that the race directors there don't want us to see. You got to hope Matsushita is okay, and whatever car he ploughed into. Now, what happened there? Got the AlphaTauris now running together, and they've made contact before. This won't be the first time they ended last season with taking each other out into 130 yards through. And now into the right-hander, you got Seti Kamara there making a move around the outside. Pierre Gasly, coming on the side side, still making a side. There's contact there, the wheel just pops off, and then it's just going to immediate stop. And actually, she just plows into the back of him. I'm sure not expecting a car there to immediately stop there like it was, not understanding the situation. Then you got side actually behind the Paris there, having to back out of that. Goes under double yellow flags then, probably even the safety car at that point with the car in the middle of the road. And now we're going to take that opportunity now then to come into the pits, because you're going to get a free pit stop, so you might as well. You've got a few other cars there. You've got the Red Bull pit crew coming out. You've got the Renault pit crew there coming out onto the track now then as well. So it really is just a no-brainer to pit right now. We're going to come in for a set of the medium tyres. I'm going to hope now that these tyres can take us to the end of the Grand Prix. Being under safety car now, that would really... Well, we're going to get basically a few free laps under safety car anyway. I'm going to rejoin in the lead of this pack of cars where we were. Got quite the gap behind, so we've got Alonso still coming out on track as the car behind. It depends. Have a few drivers stand out. Are they going to try and go for track position, pit later in the race, have fresher tyres, and then try and hunt us down? It's still going to be Alonso here then, who rejoins in on the track behind us. And then you've got the Toyota there of Lewis Hamilton ahead still then of the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. And our teammate Kevin Magnussen, I imagine you have to may have had to queue a little bit, because you were probably a little bit too close to us. He's dropped back a few places, but he managed to pit though under the safety car. But we've got a few drivers though who haven't pitted yet and are going to try a different strategy here. So it's Mick Schumacher leading the way for the first time since 2019 in his championship winning season with Williams. It's a McLaren 1-2 for a first time in a very long time. I think since back at the American Grand Prix, was the last time the McLaren were leading 1-2 in a race. And you got the sole remaining AlphaTauri there, Pierre Gasly. I'm sure it's going to be quite frosty in the debrief with Sergio Kamara, Franz Tost, and probably even Helmut Marko getting involved in there as well. The Red Bull development drivers taking each other out. And then further back through this queue, then you get towards the cars that still haven't yet pitted. You've got Alex Albon there, still hasn't pitted yet. And Albon at some point hasn't managed to get ahead of the other Mercedes, the lead Mercedes of Daniel Kvyat. And you've got the Williams there of Hulkenberg still on soft tyres, so still hasn't coming for a stop yet. So Williams trying something different. I mean, all the midfield cars have stayed out basically, so they're trying something different. And you've got Perez there, of course, couldn't make that move on halt before the safety car was deployed. And then you have ourselves the lead of the cars, the lead of this second pack of cars that have pitted. We're on the medium tyres now. We're going to the end of the race. As is Fernando Alonso there on the medium tyres in the Renault car. The medium tyres really suiting aesthetically with the banana car there. Then you've got Hamilton, and then you've got Verstappen as well on a set of the medium tyres, as you saw when he came into the pits. And then you've got K-Mag also on a set of medium tyres looking to go to the end of the Grand Prix. And right behind them you've got the lead of the Ferraris in the second pack of cars. You've got Ria Haryanto, a Ferrari there. They came in with us. They haven't got to stop again, so they've got an effective 20-second gap over the cars behind, because with the field spread it could quite even itself out pretty quickly. So a lot of the back car market cars there have made a pit stop. And also at the back here you've got Nobuharu Matsushita. So the Toyota cars managed to keep going. I mean, he just needed a break to compose himself really after that heavy contact with the back of Sergio Sette Camara. Now then, on to the end of lap 12, going on now then for the restart now of the British Grand Prix, and we're just inside the points places, and we can only go forward from here. And we come now then to the restart now onto lap 13 of the British Grand Prix, and you've got Alonso right now. Alonso's looking very aggressive. Alonso's going to move to the inside line. He's got that engine turned up to 11 and side by side. Alonso catches us up here. We can still then try to keep it around the outside line of the three-time world champion. He gets forced out to the crest. He gets squeezed. Alonso makes the mistake. We go for a dive back immediately. But Alonso there just about manages to close the door into the corner. That was so close to contact there with the Spaniard. It probably wasn't as close as he looked from that camera angle, but Alonso there lining off the restart. We know starts and restarts of the speciality of the Spaniard. And we're coming under threat now from one of the other home favourites now, Lewis Hamilton, our championship rival from last season. Me and him having a titanic battle all the way to the end of the season. And our Hamilton managed to make it through. They've got Verstappen coming through, so our slower engine, our down on power Ferrari engine really is showing here off the restart of this Grand Prix. Everyone else is able to run it in higher engine modes that we just do not have anymore with this Ferrari PU. And we've got Verstappen though getting in the situation. Of course, no DRS for the next few laps. And now we've got K-Mag though with the solution making the way on this side. Max Verstappen, the two most aggressive drivers on the grid, going side by side. But Verstappen just about manages to hold you through around the outside line, and that's how you hold a move there around the outside line and maintain position coming into that high-speed corner. And now then, through Marcus and Beckett's. Got Verstappen there, all over the back of Verstappen. That car so good through the corners. That Adrian Newey designed car. They've been so good now for so long. Just haven't quite had the power that the cars really would to make it a championship contender. But now K-Mag once again with the switching. Verstappen goes defensive. And K-Mag gets a little bit of a wiggle on. Tries to find a guy there around the SR line. And now we've got a few cars coming into the pit lane now. So they've got a few laps longer on the safety car. Then all these cars, they say that everyone's coming in. Have they all got drive-through penalties? The McLarens are double stacking. The Williams are double stacking. Has every car here run over a piece of debris? Has something gone wrong? Because you wouldn't double stack for no reason if you didn't need to. They're going on to a set of medium tyres. They're going on to the tyres that we were already on, who pitted early. This lot must have all ran over some sort of debris. There's no way, there's no reason to double stack when you don't need to like this. So all the cars that have stayed out, something's gone drastically wrong. Or maybe it's shades of 2030, you've got imminent tyre failures or something. So now then it's Alonso. Fernando Alonso leads the Grand Prix. He leads the British Grand Prix ahead of the now lead home favourite Lewis Hamilton, who's had such bad luck so far. He's had a good pace to go with it. He just hasn't had the results to show it. And now further on, you've got the Ferrari here. Rio Haryanto still, well, he's now dropped to the back of this pack of cars. The lead pack that came into the pits earlier on. Now they've got the Toyota there, Matsushita now on the drive back through the field. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of damage. There has to be more of the damage to that car than what we're seeing. You cannot plough into the back of an AlphaTauri like that and have your car be okay. He seems structurally enough though, the car is able to continue. Hopefully his wheels don't start popping off like Sete Kamara's did earlier on. And now he's getting on the back now then of the Ferrari. He's going to make a move to the inside line of the Indonesian. Yes he is. Now through the old tail one, side by side still, with Haryanto there in that Ferrari, able to keep it around the outside line, trying to keep some momentum through. But the extra straight line speed of that Toyota, when it's working, manages to pull it through, and Haryanto still drops down another position. But if he can just keep doing what he's doing, just try and hold on to it and not lose time fighting these faster cars, then maybe, just maybe, the Indonesian could try and scrape a point from this race. The race where he retired last season in the McLaren, switched to Ferrari, and it really hasn't worked out, really, as either side would have hoped, especially with that Ferrari engine there, just condemning Ferrari even more to be stuck at the back of the grid so far as this season is progressing. Although you can stick through here, he's going to have a little bit of DRS. He's not going to lose as much time as he would be thinking. And then a little bit up from there, you've got our teammate Kevin Magnussen in the Alfa Romeo. He's losing a little bit of time, not finding as much speed on the medium tyres, we think, because K-Mag, he usually comes alive on lower fuel. We've seen the moves he's been able to make towards the end of the race, but it seems today on the medium tyres, he's just not quite working out for the Dane. And then you've got the Ferrari v Mercedes battle. This battle between the Ferrari and the Mercedes here, a couple of years ago, we've been the fight at the front, fighting for the World Championship. We've got George Russell, who started his career thrown in right at the deep end in the Mercedes. He's done well with the cars he's been given, but the Mercedes car just really isn't there this season. The DAS system that they've been trying to implement, and they've been adamant sticking with it, because they've seen the benefits it can give, but it just really doesn't work on too many circuits. It's more of a hindrance overall. But there's put so much money into developing it, they're kind of stuck to have to run it so far this season. Now in the DRS though, we've got Russell now, he's going to pull to the inside line in the home race, going to make a move here in front of the home crowd, so he's having a bit of a season to forget, both for Haryanto and Russell, but still he's going to fight for the honesty, fight for track position and fight for points. I'm sure this must be for the long points. Because we come out in P12, which means only 10 cars pitted, so this might be the fight for 11th or 12th. There's a fight here for points, there's a fight here for pride as well, but the points make prizes at the end of the season, and both Mercedes and Ferrari desperately need a couple more points than what they've got so far right now. And it just doesn't get any better for Rio Haryanto, does it? What's this, a fight McLaren v Ferrari? We're going back to the 2000s, the most titanic names in Formula 1 fighting for world championships. But right now you've got a Schumacher in a McLaren coming up to overtake a Ferrari. You never would have thought this situation would have happened 10-15 years ago. With Schumacher in a McLaren, the enemy team to Ferrari, and he's going up now to make a move on the Maranello team. Make a move on one of the most famous names of Formula 1, the most famous looking car in Formula 1, the red cars. But now you've got the orange v red once again, and McLaren now with the DRS. Make sure McLaren go to the outside line here, and he's going to breeze past. The McLaren, remember, he's using last year's Renault engine. Last year's Renault engine is quicker than this year's Ferrari engine, with whatever private agreement was now, because we may well be customer teams, but we're not going to actually know what the upgrades or, well, downgrades actually were to the Ferrari engine. Now then, Schumacher's got past one McLaren. Now he's going to get past it. It's Leclerc's job now. It's the Monegasque driver's turn. He's the rear gunner now for Rio Haryanto to try and score some points for McLaren. trying to score some points for Ferrari, trying to hold off the other McLarens. Then you got the other Renault there, Ocon, the sole remaining AlphaTauri is Pierre Gasly, who's not going to be scoring any points as things stand if he finishes right where he is right now. But we know there is good pace in that car, so there might be still time to do something yet. I'm talking Mick Schumacher. He's got past one Ferrari, and now the German's going to be looking to try and get past the other. Coming through Magnussen is gaining all the time on that Ferrari. I mean, that Ferrari, it was a pretty much a shed of a car really already, and it had the engine power to try and compete on straight line. But now this car's just made the car that was so slow to be made even slower. It was all so close there to contact Haryanto. We know how aggressive the Indonesian can be. When he was in the seat at he's basically racing what would have been his car if he stayed at McLaren for this season. But he was dropped in favour of Mick Schumacher. Schumacher can make the move now, make good on his move to McLaren from Williams. It makes me see about Harrington that's going to try and fight back. But now with the DRS coming out now into turn 1, still not quite close to there now. I'm sure that's the position gone. And now you're going to have to defend that for one of the fastest cars of the season. The Renault car is so quick and straight down. The engine has come on leaps and bounds since they parted ways with Red Bull a couple of seasons ago. Even back then, Renault was still fighting down towards the back of the grid. The engine was never bad. The car build around it just wasn't that good either. But now they've got a good engine, and they've got a really good car build around it now. They've got two good drivers in the team. I know Ocon with the DRS still managed to make a move on Haryanto. Both cars had DRS, and Haryanto even had the slipstream. But there's still just nothing there that the Indonesian could do to even try and think about fighting back there to try and make a move to try and keep ahead or try and re-overtake the McLaren. Now then, on to the final lap of the race, lap 26 to 26. We've got Alonso leading the way just about. We've got minimal extra fuel saved up, and then behind we've got Hamilton there holding on to P3. So it's still a 2-3 for those Brits as things stand. And we've got half hour left to go. We haven't got much engine mode to play. We've got a little bit of engine mode. We've got a little bit of battery power there, using the overtake mode to try and gain something in straight line speed. This car, it basically has no straight line speed now. We've got low drag in the car. We've got less air than what we need. It's through the corners. It's going to be hampering us so much. We're going to be pushing everything we've got to try and get a win in front of the home ground here, flooring it through Magnussen. It's only we get a corner cut warning. And we're giving it everything we've got, but now actually that would be crucial. But now, because now we're only 1.8 seconds ahead of Hamilton in effect, so now we need to try and keep it through now. Our P2 now is actually in jeopardy as things stand, getting a 3-second time penalty. We were just pushing, doing everything we could. We can move behind it. Got Verstappen on the final lap of the race. He pulls the inside line. Lewis Hamilton is a fight for the final step on the podium. Verstappen comes alive at the end. He needs to be able to Lewis Hamilton, but Hamilton now into the final few corners. He's going to go for a dive back inside Max Verstappen. He goes super late on the brakes, but Fernando Alonso just holds on and he wins the Grand Prix.
Avanti, Fer! Avanti!
I'm sure there's sweet revenge for Fernando Alonso. He got his own back us. We won at Spain when he retired. Now he gets to win. He beats us fair and square on our home soil, in our home race. And Alonso there, back on top of Formula 1, on top of his Renault car once again. Getting pretty used to that so far this season. Here's another win there for the Spaniard. The Renault team looking very happy once again with their re-signing. This was once again just more justification to re-sign Alonso. Taking a look now at the end results, and Alonso takes the win. 3.7 seconds clear of ourselves at the end with that penalty adjusted, but we do take the point for fastest lap, so we do a little bit of damage limitation there, do what we can to gain back a point on Alonso. And Max Verstappen rounds off the podium. I'm sure he's going to be public enemy number 1 today, stealing the podium from Lewis Hamilton in the final few corners on the final lap of the race. K-Mag has a quiet run to P5, but still some very good points there for the Dane, and Matsushita recovers very well to get up into P6 after starting in P14. George Russell, with easily his best result and best race of the season, comes across the line 12 places higher than where he qualified, with Mick Schumacher getting back up into 8th for McLaren. Esteban Ocon gets back into the points as well in P9, with Rio Haryanto rounding off the top 10 for Ferrari, getting Ferrari's first top 10 of the season. Pierre Gasly gets some points for AlphaTauri in 11th, and it's a double points event for the first time in a very long time for Ferrari, with Charles Leclerc rounding off the points just about in 12th. And with that win here today, Fernando Alonso now moves into the lead of the driver standings halfway through the season now. We've done 11 races, and there's 10 more still to go. And there's only 1 point, there's nothing between me and Alonso. And Max Verstappen, coming on good now, gets himself up now into P3, but he's still 50 points behind the championship lead. Mick Schumacher with not the best result today, drops down into 4th, 54 points off, with Matsushita gaining a place in the end, up now into P5, ahead of Lando Norris. K-Mag is in 7th place, 1 point behind the Brit, with Esteban Ocon in 8th place ahead of the AlphaTauri pairing of Sergio Sette Camara and Pierre Gasly, who both now joint on 64 points. And they're both 10 points clear of Alex Albon. And Lewis Hamilton, despite losing the podium, still remains inside the top 12 on 53 points. And now onto the constructors. Alfa Romeo managed to stretch their legs a little bit and pull away from Renault on 268 points, 15 points clear of Renault on 253. McLaren is still holding down 3rd place on 216 points, 40 points clear of Red Bull. And you've got Toyota still in P5, now 30 points clear of AlphaTauri. Mercedes still remaining in the gap of their own in 7th place on 71 points. With Aston Martin in 8th place, 10 points clear of Williams. And Ferrari, despite their best points haul of the season so far, still bringing up the rear, 4 points behind on 21. So that's been the home race, it's been the British Grand Prix. So please leave a like if you enjoyed this race, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, which will be on a Monday and Friday for definite, Wednesdays if I can, and select Saturdays as you've seen here, Formula 1 and Formula 2 action. There'll be links down below in the description to the vote for the driver of the day. So who do you think did the best in this race? Was it Alonso for holding onto that win? Was it Matsushita for fighting back through the field? George Russell for getting up from 18th into 7th? Or was it Rio Haryanto for that defensive drive to score some much needed points for Ferrari? I don't know, you vote for who you did down below, who you thought did the best in this race. There's also going to be links down there as well to the Wiki, which is basically fandom Wikipedia. And I've made it for this series, so there's been one for every season from 2014. All the teams, all the drivers who have ever competed. It's about 80 pages or so. And I've edited it myself, and I edit it myself after every single race. It's been a lot of work, and it continues to be a lot of work to do that as well. So I'd appreciate it if you go and check that out. And maybe soon there might even be a sneak peek as what's to come up in the future for next season as well. And down there with the links will be links to my Instagram and Twitter, so if you can give me a follow on there, they're much appreciated as well. You can keep up to date when videos are released, updates about anything in general. And if you follow me on Instagram and you like Pokemon cards, because I do, I like shiny rectangular cardboard, there'll be updates on there to my collection and also updates to my recently acquired fursuit. I appreciate he is a very handsome boy. I appreciate if you could go and check out my boy Thunder. That's where I'm going to leave things today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.